you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Bon-Genovese, and we have Judy Prescott here today, an amazing actress and author. You may recognize her from her latest roles in True Blood, Grey's Anatomy, Cold Case, Bones, and the films Islander and Hit and Runway. And a little fun fact about Judy, when she started her acting career 25 years ago in New York City, she was co-starring in an NBC series, Working Girl, with Sandra Bullock, before Sandy was famous. But we're here today to talk about Judy's beautiful book, and it's called Searching for Cecy, Reflections on Alzheimer's. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Julie. It's so nice to be here, and I want my listeners, everyone, to know that Julie happens to be not only my best friend, but a wonderful author herself. A wonderful book called Nothing Short of Joy, and I'm a big fan of hers.
Thank you for the plug, Judy.
Well, you're pretty great.
We're going to jump right in. Can you tell us about Searching for Cecy and what was your inspiration to start it and finish it?
Yeah, I started writing Searching for Cecy. I started writing the poems about 8 years ago. It was a way for me to sort of understand and process my mother's illness. My mother has Alzheimer's, as you know, and it was a way, I'm a long-distance caregiver, so it's very difficult for me to see my mom and then have to leave and come back here to Los Angeles. So I'd come back to Los Angeles and feel all of this emotion and trying to figure out, wow, what is it that I'm feeling? So I began writing these poems, and it gave me so much more insight into both my mother's journey and my own feelings of loss. That's how I began.
And how did your family get involved in this amazing project?
Well, when I began writing all these poems, I have this amazing aunt. I call her Aunt Petey, but her name is Roseanne McPherson, and she is my father's sister. And she's so wonderful. She would visit my mom all the time and take amazing photographs of her, standing, doing whatever she was doing, elegant pictures of my mom, and turn them into collages with maybe a bird sitting on her shoulder or some such thing. They were very elegant and stunning. And it was a way for me to feel connected to my mom. She would send these pieces of art to me. And it was very moving to me also because my parents are divorced, so this is not my mother's relative. This is my father's sister. And I asked her, I said, hey, Aunt Petey, what do you think? Could we put your artwork together with my poetry? Maybe we could make some sort of a tribute to my mom. And she said, well, yeah, okay. I'll give you a few pieces of artwork. She was amazing, and she sent me a bunch of things, and we started working. And then she said, you know what? I don't have enough to give you for all the poetry you have. And I said, okay. And so we started to invite other family members. So I called Aunt Sue, who's also my mother's peer, and who gave me beautiful work. And she said, absolutely, Aunt Susan Wynn. And also I asked my brother Tom Prescott, who's an amazing painter. I call him Tommy. And I asked...
Here's one of Tom's.
Yeah,
Can
that's a terrific, gorgeous piece that he painted in Maine. And also my Aunt Petey has a daughter, Anne, is a stunning, just an amazingly talented painter. So she gave me her work, and I just started to put it all together and play around with it, and this is what came out of that.
So do families usually come together as a result of a diagnosis, or is there often discord initially? And what happened with your family when your mom was diagnosed?
Well, it's such a difficult thing for families. It is such a difficult illness. There's no control. So when there's no control, everybody is doing their best to try to make control. So everybody's right. I'm right about everything. I know what's perfect for Mom. Nobody knows I know. And Tommy was the same way. And everybody has their opinion. And it was very upsetting and very difficult. And it was a real struggle. I think it's a very difficult illness in that way. Everyone's looking for control where there is no control. There's no control anywhere in life, but people really we wanted to help Mom. And I am so fortunate that I ended up learning through the process of this book and everything else that it's not about me. It's not my journey. It's my mom's journey. So,
and you ended up bringing family members together with the artwork. So was that intentional, or was just a happy accident that you realized it would work that way?
I think so. I think I felt that I really wanted some company and to feel connected, and all of a sudden this overwhelming support with these stunning pieces of art. And I'm so fortunate. I mean, I'm from a freakishly talented family of artists, and I remember my little brother John and I, when we were kids, we would be drawing with Tommy, and we were like, you know what, let's stop drawing, John, because Tommy was so extraordinarily talented. And that's the same with my other family. So to have their interpretations, and Aunt Susan Wynn, actually made some pieces of artwork based on my poetry. So I sent the poems, and she actually created these beautiful pieces for the poems. So I just feel so honored, and I feel like I have such an extraordinary family, and I feel there's so much love for Cecy, and we are so blessed because of that.
And you even have a piece of artwork from your mom included in the book that she did years ago.
How about if I show you that? Yes.
Yeah, I have it right here. It's page 70. If you want.
Oh, you got it? Yeah, Cecy was living in assisted living, and she used to. Yeah, you want to hold it up, Jewel? Sure. She used that. That's it. She drew and expressed herself in that way when verbally she wasn't quite there. So that is a poem that I chose to end the book on, which is Cecy's own artwork. And let me show you. I'll show you some of this beautiful work. Let's see. I'll start here. This is my cousin Anne's painting. It's a painting of a woman sort of searching, and the poem that it goes with is called Seizures. It's an interesting, it's a woman sort of looking for where she's going and what she's doing. That's Anne's art. Let me show you the extraordinary art of this is pretty amazing. This piece here is a sculpture done by Aunt Petey. I don't know if you can see it. It's a wooden sculpture made of mahogany of a bird holding its own beak. It's a stunning
tell
array.
us about your mom's relationship and the metaphor of birds throughout your poetry.
Oh, sure. My mom, this is the cover of my book, however, just so you can see it, Searching for Cecy. There's that one piece of artwork.
Whose artwork is that?
That's Anne Gressinger's. That's my cousin also. So what did you ask me, Jewel? Say again.
About the birds.
Oh, yeah. There is a lot of bird imagery in my work, that and water. But the birds, my mom wanted to be a seagull. She always said she wanted to be a seagull. She loved Jonathan Livingston Seagull. She wanted to be a bird. She loved Maine. And she actually wanted to be a bird so that she could poop on the people that had upset her in her life. She's very mature. My mother's Irish, hilariously funny. And somehow, for me, the spirit is represented in birds. And there's such a resilience about them. They have catastrophe after catastrophe, often weather, whatever, predators, and yet still they build their nest. They begin again. They start afresh, and I'm so inspired by birds.
When was it that you or your family first noticed changes in your mom?
Well, I would say when I got married back in 1999, Mom got a little bit lost on the way to the wedding in the airport, and we were very fortunate because there was this lovely man, Mark, who was a friend of my husband. I didn't know him at the time, was standing at the desk where she was, and she was saying, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. I'm lost. And he said, what wedding are you going to? And she said, I'm going to my daughter, Judy Prescott. And he said, well, I am too, so let me help you. And he took her by the hand and took her in hand, not by the hand, and got her to the wedding. And at the wedding, I just noticed that she was very reclusive, not wanting to partake, very shy, staying in a room. And after the wedding, I I went back to Maine where she was living and stayed with her and began to stay with her for periods of time where I could watch what was going on. And I noticed her unable to manage her affairs properly. Her papers were lining the sides of her room. She was buying many, many things, like 50 paper towels instead of 2 rolls of paper towels, that type of thing. So I was sort of very aware at that point.
There was some kind of divine intervention going on there at the airport. Was that LAX, a huge airport? That from your tiny little wedding, someone was there to guide her is pretty miraculous.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Mom is amazing. Wherever Mom goes, people look after her. And she's so beautifully cared for right now in her facility in Maine, a wonderful place called Hawthorne House with these extraordinary caregivers who just, they text me pictures of her, how she's doing. They're extraordinary. And so often it is very...
Yeah, you have a poem. You say you have a poem from one of your mom's caregivers that she wrote about Cecy.
Yes, I do.
Do you have it there to read about it?
Yeah, sure. Let me find it. There's a caregiver who takes care of Mom called Kathy Johnson, and she's really lovely, and she keeps me in the loop about Mom. And she wrote this about my mother. It's a long poem, but I will read you a stanza or so. Okay. Mom's hands go from right to left, grabbing, picking, poking, for this is her new way of joking. She grins with a smile because this is her style. The eyes look with wonder, still excitement and thunder. Yet where did her life go? Trapped with memories, love and laughter, still remain in her frame. And it goes on. But this is extraordinary to me. That's by Kathy Johnson. And as a poet, this sort of inspired me. Since I wrote this book, I've received from my college roommate's father, Dr. Lieber. He said, I'm a poet, and he started to send me his poetry. Kathy has sent me her poetry. A friend from high school, Paul Jacks, is sending me his writing. I'm so inspired that on my website, I've just started a new tab called Community. And my website is www.judyprescott.com. And there's a community tab, and I want to invite anyone, all of you, who have a poem or a piece of artwork that has to do with Alzheimer's to please post it. Go to my page, and on my website, the community page, and there's directions there how to post it. And I want to see everybody's work. It's inspiring to me. And we'll have a drawing, and whoever is drawn will win or get a signed copy of the book, Searching for Cecy. So I'd be honored to have all of your work. It inspires me.
We have a question that online have you found that compiling this book has been therapeutic for you, coping as a caregiver? I'm thinking that even if someone doesn't publish, it might be therapeutic for others to compile a similar work.
How wonderful. Absolutely. I think that through art, that's exactly why I've set up this page, this community page, a communal place for people to come who are experiencing this same trouble or gift, however you look at it. It's absolutely been therapeutic to me. As a small child, I began writing poetry. My goodness, when my best childhood friend passed away of heart failure. We were best buddies, and she died suddenly at the age of, I think we were about 12. Her name was Kyle Patricia McCormick. And at the time, as this person has written in, I couldn't manage that feeling, and I was told to be quiet in a way and not show that I was very upset at the funeral and this and that, because that generation believed, didn't want to upset the family. So I had to turn inward. I had to find a way to express myself and to find peace. And that is, I think, what art, what poetry, what anything can give someone. So I would encourage all of you, write, paint, whatever you have, and I'd be honored to see it if you'd like to put it on my website.
And you've used your acting, too, as a way to cope. You were telling me one day about how you use improv when you talk to your mom, because she's in a different
Yes.
reality, a different world, and instead of trying to ask her back into yours, you step into hers. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Certainly. Yes, improv is so, the way I use that is I believe in yes and. So when you're with an Alzheimer's patient, it's really best to always say, oh yes, and smile and move on. In the same way in improvisational comedy, when I'm performing, when somebody throws something at you that's really bizarre, you go, yes, and add to it. You cannot negate that choice. You have to go with it, and it's a wonderful exercise in being in the moment. And with Alzheimer's, these people are in the moment. They live absolutely 100% in the moment, and we need to step into their world. We don't need to pull them back into a world where it's chaotic for them or where they don't belong. And I learned this. I am so fortunate because when Mom moved from the assisted living part of her facility into the dementia or the Alzheimer's ward, this amazing woman, Marcia Shalick, was there, and she said, hi, I'm Marcia. I'd seen her around, and she handed me this book, and it's called Learning to Speak Alzheimer's by Joanne Koenig Costa, and it talks about the habilitation method and the new way of dealing with Alzheimer's patients. I think in the old days it was, every patient seems to want their mom, so they're looking for their mother, and they say, where's my mother, where's my mother? And they would say, she's dead, you know that, she's gone. And that would make them extremely anxious. They'd be sedated or, tied down, and whatever it was at the time. Now it's, tell me about your mother. Oh, how is she? Let's talk about your mom. What was she like? What does she look like? This and that. Just always redirecting. In any event, I'm not giving great service to what Joanne has written here, but she is extraordinary, and she has taught me how to handle so many different things. So I feel very fortunate to have had that book to help me.
And didn't Joanne talk also about being in the moment with them, not to be in the past or the future, but right in the moment to honor their journey and wherever they're at?
Absolutely, and that's what I try to do with Mom every day is enter her world. It's a disservice, as I said, to try to say, hey, remember this, remember me, I'm your daughter. Hello, I'm your daughter. At this point, Mom doesn't speak so much, but she can certainly tell that I am someone that she loves, and that is evident. And she, because her brain might not be able to give the words to tell me that or to show that, it comes out in different ways. And I do not believe that they're gone. I do believe they're quite present. They just are trapped in a way.
And how does she like your daughter's visits and your husband? How do they all get along?
Oh, it's extraordinary. Yeah. It makes such a difference when a lot of her children show up with these people. Mom gets very excited. She picks her up, puts her on her lap, and Eliza has grown up around these people, and she's very at ease, and she just sort of relaxes, and that's her grandmother. She's grown up in facilities. She's grown up with people who are struggling with this, and it's moving to see how they relate on a nonverbal level. They're extraordinary together. And I think I would encourage people to take their children to see these patients, because everybody in the facility will come out and want to hold Eliza or hold hands with Eliza or trade dollies or take her dolly and she'll take their dolly. It's really fun, and she loves it, and it's a nice place for kids, actually.
And when your mom calls Eliza Judy or calls you the wrong name, you don't correct her? You just go with that?
Right. Last time or a couple times ago when I was there, Eliza went running by and she said, Judy, like that, like I'd done terribly wrong, which I guess I was doing that a lot.
Which you used to.
So she said, Judy, Judy. And it's wonderful. To me, that's wonderful. No, I'm not Eliza, but yes, she remembers. So it's quite a gift.
And tell us about what your mom reaction was when she first saw the book, Searching for Cecy.
Sure. I went back in, early September of this past year and got together with the 4 artists and friends and family and all the people from Mom's facility. And we were out in the garden and we gave this book to my mom. My cousin Mary was there. Mary Boudel was playing Chopin on the flute. Sophie, a dear young friend of my mom's, was singing I Read a Poem by E.E. Cummings, and Eliza put the book in her lap. And it was so evident that she was aware that this was about her. This was a celebration of her. She was sitting very straight in her chair, which is hard for her now. She sort of bends over. She's had quite a few seizures. And she was squirreling the books like this, taking them and putting them next to her in the chair and collecting 5 books under her thighs and things. And that was just a high praise. I was like, thank you, Mom. I'm so glad you approve of my book. But she's just delightful, my mom, and she still is. So she was very.
Even though she doesn't speak now, she did say something to you as you were leaving this last time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I went in the nighttime. It's hard for me to visit. When I go back there, I stay for a while, and I have a 5-year-old daughter, so I left her in the with my husband, and I went very late to lie with her, and I was holding her. She's very fragile now. And I didn't really know if she knew I was there, but I was sort of singing to her, and she said, when I got up to leave, she said, come back. So it was clear to me that she's really trying, and I do go back, and I am going back, and I'm going this Friday. So it's powerful.
Tell us a little bit about her personality before and today.
Yeah. Mom is, she's a stunning woman. She's 5'10". She's got black hair, blue eyes. She's a little silver now, but she's still very tall. She's Irish, and she's got funny wit and a temper. And they still, in the facility, they love her, and she's always grabbing people. That's why this woman wrote Kathy. She grabs people when they walk by. She's looking for mischief. She's just amazing. She's the same. She's a strong woman. And I'm so honored to be her daughter. It's just extraordinary to see with what dignity she handles all of this. She handles so much, and all these patients do.
There's a question online from Eric. It says, your family's strength is so inspiring, as is your attitude toward your mother's diagnosis. How do you maintain such a positive outlook?
Well, thank you, Eric. It's a nice question. I think I had to get to a point. I know that there are many of you probably out there, if you have loved ones with Alzheimer's, there is a time when there's so much terror in the patient. They know they can't quite remember. My mom was so upset when she knew she couldn't remember things. There's a terror and a fear of safety. At a certain point, something changes, and there's a peace that comes about these people. And my mom is so peaceful now. She's so well cared for. I thought only I could care for my mother. I thought that I needed to do everything. But these people are so great with her. There was a time when Mom would throw boxes at me, or, I was uneducated enough to say, don't talk to me like that, Mom, which you can't do to an Alzheimer's patient. You just can't do it. You want to make World War III, there it is, learn to step back. It's not about me. It's not personal. I shouldn't take it personally. So when she got more and more peace, I realized this, Eric, that she's fine. She's fine. It's hard for us, but God bless her, and I honor her journey. And I've learned when she became safe and less fearful that it's okay. It's okay.
We have another question. How do you balance caregiving and work? If you have to be on set for a filming, but your mom needs you or you want to be there, how do you work it out? You were telling me the other day about the oxygen mask.
Yeah, the caregivers, yes. It took me so long to understand that I needed to put my own oxygen mask on first. in order to be able to better care for my mom? This is an interesting question. It has very much affected my work. For instance, I did an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I finished filming, and I got on an airplane because my mother had had a seizure, and I needed to see her. And so my family and I were all at the gate getting on the plane. And I got a call from my agent. They need you right now to do ADR. You need to go and fix the sound on the program, Grey's Anatomy. And I said, I can't. My mom had a seizure. I have to get on this flight. And, because of that decision, which I feel was the right decision, my part was cut drastically because the sound was not good. So I felt terribly, for the producers and everyone else, but you have to make sort of a Sophie's choice at that moment, and I chose my mom. So it's very difficult, and it's had a great effect, but now I feel much stronger than I was a bunch of years ago.
What other advice do you have for caregivers for taking care of themselves?
I would advise, there's a culture of shame around Alzheimer's somehow. We find ourselves keeping it to ourselves and trying to say, I'm doing okay, I'm okay, I can do this all myself, I can do it. And we can't. We simply can't, and we need to reach out to others. We need to call our friends. We need to tell what's happened to people. We need to sort of really step back and eat and drink and sleep, and not that type of drinking, but yes, yes, and try to take care of ourselves and understand that there are people who are extraordinary who can help us, and it is not a disservice to them. It's a very difficult thing to learn, but to learn that we need help and others help us. And there's one thing that came to me this morning when I woke up, interesting thing. I was with my mom in Christmas Cove. She was still speaking and still walking, or in Maine, and she wanted to go to Christmas Cove where we grew up, where we spent every year, every summer. And I said, okay, Mom, I'll take you to Christmas Cove. So I thought this will be interesting because I have a million relatives there, and I know quite a lot of people. And we showed up at the marina, and the first people that I saw was my Aunt Nina walking toward me, Nina, who is older than my mom. And she's a lovely woman. And there I was, face-to-face with Nina and Uncle Gus. Nina has Alzheimer's, and Mom had Alzheimer's. And we didn't know. I didn't know Aunt Nina had Alzheimer's. She didn't know Mom had Alzheimer's. And I was standing back with my uncle going, oh, my goodness. That's how they're talking to each other as if they've just met. It was powerful to me that even in a family, this feeling or culture of shame where we don't share, yes, there's something wrong with Mom. Yes, she has a struggle, but it's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's extraordinary.
We have another question from Jean. It says, my friend's mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's a few years ago. One of her biggest struggles is the idea of her daughter never knowing her grandmother. Have you struggled with these feelings as well?
Yes. In a way, I understand this very well. But it's so funny. Eliza, my daughter is 5 now, and she grew up from a baby with my mother who had Alzheimer's. And she knows that person as her grandmother, and she has taken such gifts from that. I'll say at the table, Eliza will have her elbows on the table, and they say, oh, what would Cecy say? Eliza, strong and able, get your elbows off the table. It's up to me to keep my mother alive, to keep Cecy alive. It's up to me to tell the stories. Who is my mother? This is your grandmother. What a brilliant lady she was. How smart, how funny, and how courageous. Look at her in her wheelchair. Look how she can sit up so straight, and look how she loves you. It's up to me to tell the story, to create the history for Eliza. So I hope, that's helpful.
We have another question from Sky. If you know your parent would much rather live at home, but you're at a crossroads where you need help, how do you cope with that? Knowing that it's time when you have to put your parent in a home. It sounds like you're having a good experience with the home where your mom is, but at first it's hard.
You are so right, Sky. It's very difficult. I finally realized that her personal safety was an issue. I visited her, and the sleeves of her bathrobe were singed from trying to cook and not knowing that they were catching fire. When I'd visit her, there were black things burned up in the oven. It was chaos. And there's a time when, yeah, absolutely, time to get her to a safe place. And you know what I can tell you, Sky? This is fantastic. She was so much more comfortable and at peace when I moved her, when we first moved her, because she got to eat with other people who were like herself. She shared a commonality with these other patients. The people are so wonderful. They have all the patience in the world. You know, my mother is not in. My mother is on Medicare, but it's called Maine Care, I guess, in Maine. So it doesn't matter the level of facility. There are kind people there who can help you and help you get your life at a place where you can function on a high level as well.
Also, you wanted to mention some of the profits and proceeds from your book are going to the Alzheimer's Association.
Yes, for sure.
Is it the main chapter, or?
Yes, $1 of every book of Searching for Cecy that sells goes to the Alzheimer's Association, and I'm so pleased about that. They're such an extraordinary organization, and they've been a great help to me. And I have them also listed on my website, judyprescott.com. There's a resource page with Safe Return that they provide, with the Alzheimer's Association, with a bunch of caregiving associations. Lisa's Place, Lisa Gibbons, has started a wonderful place, which I have visited, where caregivers can go for support. And it is extraordinary, the work they do, and such support. And the Caregiver's Voice is an online service. They're all listed there, but there are so many wonderful places to turn to get the help that you need. And all kinds of books on there, even for children. There are quite a few children's books that I've listed that I hope would be a help. They've certainly helped my daughter, Eliza.
Samantha is asking, now that you're a mother, do you find yourself doing or teaching some of the things you learned from her?
Absolutely. I'm so very much like her. I just, I teach a lot of the same things. I make the same faces. I can't help it. I'm a chip off of the old block. And she, I guess I hope that, you know, there's always that fear. I think all of you out there can understand. Will it happen to me? I hope not, but yes, I'm her daughter, and that's a fear, but I don't take it on. I just keep moving forward and keep reading, and I know if we read a lot, it might help us if we stay active. I read in the New York Times the other day, I think it was, if we exercise 30 minutes a day, jump up and down, do something that could help us, so I'm running as fast as I can.
Now, in your book, I know your poetry represents the progression of her condition and your journey of coping. So I'm wondering if you can read a poem that represents the beginning stage, maybe the middle, maybe toward the end.
Sure.
Do you have a first poem that might...
Yes, I would love to read for you. Let me grab a book. How about if I read for you a poem? Well, let's see. I'll read you a poem called Vanishing. Okay, here we go. Mother, I'm tired. I've tried to bury you, resurrect you, rediscover you. I am in a magic disappearing booth waiting for the trick to end. What kind of magician would allow me to step out of the booth into a world devoid of you? That's vanishing. That's me waiting, I think, for some sort of magical intervention, something to help me stop what's going on. that was early on, and me just still looking for that sort of magical thinking that I think Joan Didion writes about, of having somebody come and help. And then I'll read you another, let's see, a little bit further on where I was learning to let go somewhat, or at least playing with the idea. This is called Bon Voyage. Sometimes it's better to loosen the spring line and let her float away. If the storm is that great, why keep her tethered, battering herself to pieces at the dock? Let her go. Watch her float peacefully away under a gray and turbulent sky. A last grand sail into whatever lies beyond. A graceful exit from all things measured and charted. Beautiful catch. I release you. That's Bon Voyage. That's me trying to let go. And then, Julie, I don't know, do you have a preference? Would you like me to read In Confidence or Resolute? I know
I
one
love
is
Resolute.
Would you like me to read Resolute? Okay. Resolute is a poem that is my wish for myself. At a certain point that I needed to make a decision to live my life, and to live my life while grieving my mother and the loss of my mother at the same time. I wanted to both grieve and continue living and honor my mother in the way that, with a life that I thought that she would want me to continue. So this is called Resolute. Gather me like so many sticks scattered about the fire, one on top of the other. Layer me. Give me a roundness, a breadth. Afford me a space to fill with vine, leaf, loam. I need to be an orchard, vast and swaying, laden with fruit, not ash. That's Resolute. And that's been my wish for myself, I suppose, that I can learn to live in a way that honors my mother.
Has your acceptance of her condition helped her to be more at peace as well?
I think so. I have so much fun when I see her. I take my banjo and we sing songs, or she used to sing along with me. She is a wonderful musician. She played piano for many years and has a love of all types of music. And the last thing to go in her memory was song lyrics. It's extraordinary. She's amazing. So when I go to see her, I often have my banjo. We play. She smiles. She laughs. Eliza dances around. But I find that music is a beautiful way to connect to people, a beautiful way, and a language that she still understands, a language that we both speak, since I don't speak Alzheimer's. Yet. I hope. No, I won't. Okay.
Now, your mom, long ago, worked at CBS.
Yeah.
What was that like for her? And that was before you and your brothers came along, is that right?
Yes. Out of college, my mom went to Manhattanville College in New York City, and she got a job working for an amazing documentarian called Fred Freed, and she worked at CBS News in New York City. And she was amazing. I have photographs of her with, the clapper doing the sticks, and she was so in love with that type of work, and she was so smart. She had such a fine mind. And because of the generation she was born into, the 50s, it was, I think, difficult to continue on with a career like that. She was expected to get married and have children, which is what she did. And I often think maybe that was a disservice to her. I wish she could have been whatever it was that she maybe would have loved to have been. I think this book, in my way, is sort of giving her her voice. She was extraordinary and powerful and wonderful, and I wanted to give her a voice. I wanted others to know about her.
And when you were really young and shy, and acting kind of gave you a voice, how did that start?
Yeah, interesting. I was a very shy kid. I didn't talk much. In a way, it was, children should be seen and not heard. So there I was, very quiet. And I think it must have been first grade or something. I showed up at school, and my teacher said, "Here, we're doing a play, and you, Judy, this is your line, let's swap. And she gave me that line, and she told me to walk across the stage holding hands with John Munasteri. I'll never forget it. And go to the middle of the stage, trade toys, and say, let's swap, and then continue on. And I was like, wow, okay. Somebody else's words, that must be worth something. I thought that I really did feel that someone else's words were more valid than my own, and I wanted somebody else's language, and I wanted to be handed a script. And through that process, I learned to express myself, because being handed a script gave me license to explore some of the emotions, my own emotions, through someone else's words. It was a real gift.
We have another question. Yeah, we have a question here from Maria. Your poems are beautiful. How do you compare how you felt at the time you wrote the poems to now?
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Has some of the pain that you originally felt been washed away by the writing?
Well, you know what's interesting? I did stop writing the poems at a certain point because I thought I'd never put a book together, because I would just keep compiling them. So I tortured myself into stopping the writing for the moment and concentrating on creating this book. I have so many more in my head, and I do write them, and I've written them down, and they are always similar, always searching for Cecy, always looking for my mom, always following her journey, following my own, finding peace and truth, and that's why I write.
Has that been a gift for you through this process of an unbearable situation and incredible grief, but you've turned it into purpose to help other people? Are there other gifts that have come out of this that have surprised you?
Yes, that's a really nice thing to say, Jill. Thank you. And what I look for is beauty. I'm trying to find the beauty. We're given pain. We're given challenges, but there's beauty in there, and there's a lesson in there. And I try to find what it is that can make me a better person, what can make me try harder to understand. And definitely, yeah, it's a challenge, but I keep trying. I'm looking for beauty and clarity.
We have another question here. Oh, it's not a question. It's a statement. I would imagine that your mother was and is very proud of you. She must have loved watching you on TV and in the movies.
Yeah, she did. She would be the first to tell me, oh, my gosh, Judy, your hair, what was going on there, and what was... I don't know if I believed that particular scene. Yeah, she was, though. She was very proud. She was hilarious and always telling me exactly what she thought. I know I was on stage doing a performance of Hedda Gabler in the middle of winter in Maine, and afterwards she said, well, you tried, dear. So I was like, Mom, what did I do? What was so horrible? But, yeah, my mom is a piece of work, and there's my mom. Julie's holding her up. There's Cecy. There's Cecy in Maine. Sitting in the grass on Dameras Cove Island, so at peace, so happy. Straightened that hair, which is exactly like mine, just so you know.
Yeah, she straightened.
I think it took me to the age of like 14 till I knew that she had curly hair, that it was blown dry.
And if anyone here knew Cecy, you just spoke just like her. It's absolutely amazing, and it's a great tribute to the fact that she does stay alive in you. She always will. Even Eliza has mannerisms that have come down from your mom. Yeah,
and you know what, Jewel? It's interesting. My mother performed. I think I became an actor because of my mom. She was in children's theater. She was always in a bear costume or a witch dragging me around. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's my mom. And I think one of her big wishes is she always wanted to be a clown, a proper clown, go to clown school and be a clown. And she would have been a magnificent clown because she loved
She was
children.
A clown, yeah.
Yeah, well, yes. I think so.
So your book, Searching for Cecy, is incredibly personal, but it's also universal. Did you know that you were speaking so many people's experiences when you compiled it?
You know, I was so surprised that the more specific I am in my words, the more absolutely specific of a certain event or moment, the more specific I am, the more universal it is. And it helped me to learn. You asked me what I've learned, I think, a minute ago. I've learned that we are all so very much the same. And these experiences are so very much the same. And our pain is the same. And our ability to sort of embrace this and try to move on with our lives is the same. I've been very moved by that. I've been very moved by this feeling of community, which, as I said, is why I really do welcome your poems or your art to my website, so that I can post them, so that everybody can see what you've done and what you're feeling. I think it's helpful for all of us.
Yeah, and that expression has helped you really release a lot of the pain so that you could then be a help and put your hand out for people who are at the beginning stages when you really are at a place of acceptance.
Yeah, and I really honor any of you who are in the early stages and going through this, and it's so very confusing and very hard to manage, and I really do suggest go to those resources on my website. Go to the Alzheimer's Association. It's so healing and wonderful to be around other people in your same situation. So really would encourage you.
And remember, too, if you do upload artwork or a poem, you're going to be entered in a contest for a free copy of Searching for Cecy signed by Judy. So you can also go to her Facebook page, which is Searching for Cecy.
Yes, it is.
Is that right, Jude?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
So any final words of comfort, wisdom for our viewers, Jude, before we say goodbye?
Yes, well, I would encourage...
Oh, can I stop you for a minute?
Yes,
Before you sign off, there's one more
Yes.
One more question. Your book has brought many people together. This is from JDR. And is certainly inspiring to many dealing with the issues. Do you feel this healing process has also reached other members of your family and helped them deal as well?
I really hope so. I really hope so. I think it's brought my brother Tommy and I together on a much deeper level than we were. As I mentioned earlier, we were the two, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. You know, it can be very difficult. And at a certain point, you say, what would Cecy want? Two children who are, you know, arguing with each other, or some peace? And I had to really step back there and figure that out for myself. And my family, yes, I really do think it's made a real community with Mom's family. Mom's brother, my Uncle Tom, he's always been a real supporter of my poetry, and he's very moved by this book. It means the world to him, and it means the world to Mom's sister, and it means the world to all of my cousins who love Cecy. So I'm so honored. I don't know how. I've been a poet a long time. I've never looked to publish my poetry, but this was a reason to publish it, and I'm really so, I think it must be my mother driving this train on some level.
Yeah. All right, Judy, I think we are going to wrap it up. I don't see any more questions coming through. It's been wonderful to talk to you, always inspiring to see your positive approach, because I know this has been a long road for you, but you've handled it like a queen yourself.
Thank you so much, and it's such a joy to be able to talk to the community out there, and I'm so honored to have you with me and to have you read my book, and I'm, just honored. Thank you, Julie.
All right, goodbye, everyone. Bye, Jude.
Bye-bye. Great talking to you.